of Virtual Coffee. My name is Alexa Collier, and on this podcast, I sit and have coffee or tea with accomplished and innovative small business owners and early career professionals. Now, with me today is Kati, the founder and owner of CupKate's. Kati has always had a passion for baking, and in high school, that passion turned into a flourishing business. She sells beautiful custom cakes as well as sugar cookies, edible cookie dough, and other delicious items. In this episode, we dive into her journey and also discuss what it's like balancing a full-time job and running a small business. So a lot of good tidbits in Kati's episode. Now, before we dive into her story, I would really appreciate if you could rate and review Virtual Coffee on the Apple Podcasts app. You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook and other social medias. It's at Virtual Coffee Podcast. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the podcast. Now, let's get right into Kati's episode. Welcome, Kati. Thank you so much for chatting with me today. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yes, me too. Thank you so much for having me. Very excited.
Awesome. Yeah, happy to have you on Virtual Coffee. So to kick things off, just tell me a bit about your business, CupKate's. What's its mission? How did the idea come to start this business? Tell me all about it.
Yeah, so my business, CupKate's, is a custom cake business. The basis of what I do is custom orders. I have gotten into shipping this past summer. So I ship edible cookie dough, cookie kits, pre-decorated cookies as well. And then I've also expanded a little bit into clothing and merch and like retail and stuff like that. So that's been pretty fun. But yeah, like I said, the foundation for my business is custom orders. So I started my business, I would say probably in high school, just for fun. I remember, I think we were snowed in and like Cake Boss was on, and I watched like way too many episodes of it. So then I convinced myself that I needed to try to bake. So that's kind of where it started. I was always very creative as a kid. I won some like entrepreneurship award in like fourth grade because I sewed together Kool-Aid pouches to like make purses. So I've always been trying to like make things and sell them like all throughout my childhood. So once I started making cakes, I started posting them on Instagram, and everyone's like, you need to make your own separate page. Like you need to start selling cakes. And it kind of turned into a business from there. So I didn't really plan on it. And it kind of just turned into that word of mouth, made something for someone else. They saw it, they wanted it. So yeah, it kind of organically grew throughout college. Well, I was going to go to a culinary school, and then I decided against it. I went to school for marketing and entrepreneurship. So all throughout college, I still baked, I still grew my business. And then upon graduating, I have a job in marketing for the past 3 years, and I'm still baking as well.
Nice.
So keeping it up. That's kind
Very
of
cool.
the basis of where I started.
Yeah, I'm sure you are extremely busy, and I definitely want to dive into that a bit later. I'm curious, do you think baking, you have somewhat of a natural talent for it, or do you think anyone can learn how to bake if you have the passion for it? Like, just curious your thoughts on that.
I think a little bit of both.
Okay.
So I pretty much taught myself everything that I know.
Wow.
I took like one class at like Michael's, but it was just a basics of like decorating cakes. I did have a little bit of experience working at a bakery for one summer in high school. But yeah, I pretty much YouTubed everything and figured out how to do it. Like macaroons took me like 2 years to figure out how to like make it come out of the oven not flat and like completely messed up. So yeah, I mean, I've always had a creative personality, so I do think you need like that type of creative eye for things. But I do think anybody can teach themselves for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think the important thing is you need to have the passion for it, right? Because,
exactly.
Yeah, like you can, I'm sure you do have the natural talent for it, but like you said, you needed to learn certain techniques, and
exactly.
That takes a lot of work. I'm sure that took
does.
a while.
Yeah, many weekends of just trying to practice baking. So you have to want to do it for sure.
Right. That's cool. And why not culinary school? Was there a specific reason for that, or just wanted to study something different?
Yeah, so I looked into it. I was like ready to do it, and then it was kind of like I kind of wanted that, I guess, typical college type of experience. And also most of the programs were only like 2 years or something like that. And I kind of wanted to get that business foundation down first because I knew whatever I would be doing, whether it was having a business or working in corporate, I
Mhm.
would need that business management foundation. So that's kind of why I went into entrepreneurship. And then I was always thought like, okay, I can do this. If I want to take it that way, I could always go to culinary school after I get that
Mhm.
degree. So that was kind of my thinking on that.
That makes sense. And I mean,
Mhm.
marketing, right? That's going to be
Yeah,
so helpful. Like, I
helpful
know
in
you
anything
mentioned you
that
have,
you do.
yeah,
Mhm.
and you have that as your full-time job, but I'm sure like
Yes.
that
Mhm.
helps you with cupcakes,
Oh, for sure.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. It helps you be able to market your product and
Mhm.
strategize and all that stuff. So,
Right.
yeah.
So curious for listeners who may not have ever, gone to your Instagram and see the amazing, beautiful, just
Thank
everything
you.
you sell and create, can you give our audience a taste of what you sell, right? Just I know you can't really
Mhm.
describe every type of cake
Yeah.
or whatever that you sell
Mhm.
because they are custom, but just kind of
Right.
kind of give us an idea.
Yeah, so what's very popular right now are decorated sugar cookies, which was not always the case when I first started. So when I first started, you can see how like trends are changing
That's
within like the
interesting.
baking industry. So when I first started, it was fondant cakes. Everybody had to have fondant cakes, and that's definitely not so much a thing anymore. Most cakes are like buttercream with some fondant accents. So that's the majority of the type of cakes I make now. And then the sugar cookies, like I said, are probably my top seller.
Oh.
I usually have multiple orders of those a week. I guess it's just, I don't know if this year, like Instagram, they're all over Instagram, like all
Mhm.
different decorations. There's so many cookie cutter companies that are like thriving because of all of the like different and like fun designs that people are coming up with. But yeah, so sugar cookies that are decorated for birthdays, baby showers are a big one, engagement parties. Those are very, very popular for those. And then I do a lot of cakes. I don't do a lot of like very large wedding cakes. Another trend I would say is people are doing like obviously because of COVID, but before that, still people aren't going for like the 10-tier wedding cakes so much
Mhm.
anymore, is what I'm seeing. It's more like smaller ones and a lot of like the natural looking cakes. They call them like the naked cakes where they're like half iced.
Yep.
Those are very popular. So I've done a lot of those and macaroons as well. They're definitely one of
Nice.
my top sellers. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome you have that wide range of products. I didn't realize, you
Yeah.
really dove into the cookies and the
Yeah.
macarons, and that's cool.
Mhm.
I know you mentioned you're able to ship. So do you only ship, like, are you able
Yes.
to ship the cookies but not the big cakes, or can you ship anything?
So I can't ship the cakes. I think that, like, down the road, maybe that could be something I could do is ship
Hmm.
cakes, or I don't even ship macaroons either
Okay.
because you need, like, so much special packaging. So obviously that comes along with, like, okay, if I'm really gonna do this, I need to invest money into, like, finding the perfect packaging so that everything gets there okay. So
Hmm.
that could be like a something down the line. But yeah, right now I'm shipping cookies, so decorated sugar cookies. Once they dry, they pretty
Nice.
much are safe to be shipped, wrapped in bubble wrap and then some like paper shred all around. So they're usually pretty safe. Don't ever have that many issues with those.
Hmm.
And edible cookie dough is the other thing that I do ship a lot of. I launched that this past summer. So yeah, I ship those in a like refrigerated pouch that kind of keeps them cold. So
Very, very cool. Again, I love the
mhm,
wide range of products that you sell. So if I'm
thank
a
you.
new customer, what would the
Mhm.
process be of from ordering from you, right? Like, do we hop on a
Yeah.
phone call so you can get my custom order? Just kind of walk us through that.
So for yeah, say you want to order a birthday cake for your birthday in a couple weeks, you can send me a DM on Instagram, or I would prefer filling out if people fill out a contact form on my
Okay.
website. So in my Instagram bio, I have a link tree. And in the link tree, it says order a custom cake, custom order, and then you can just click that and it takes you right to the form. So that's a lot easier for me because I do end up having a lot of other DMs and like
Hmm.
of like story responses and stuff like that.
Yep.
So I respond better to those ones through the contact form on my website.
So
Yeah.
simple, easy, just fill out the form and
Mm-hmm.
then you'll
Fill out
take
the
it from there.
form. It's I use Wix for my website and
Hmm.
they're very easy and it's almost like it's messaging. You can send them an invoice and everything through there if that's what we want to do. And decide on what they're going to do. And then I do require like 50% of your orders total before pickup to confirm your spot, and then the rest at pickup.
Awesome.
Mhm.
So would love to kind of hear more about how you actually launched CupKate's. And it seems, you
Hmm.
mentioned you started it a little bit in high school and it kind of grew naturally.
Right.
Was there ever a moment where you're like, "Oh my goodness, I actually have a business?" Or like was
Yeah.
there, was it so natural where it was, I don't know, not overwhelming, or did you have kind of challenges or overwhelming moments as
Um,
it grew or as you had to figure out how to do things?
yeah, I would say I've had some pretty steady growth like the
Mhm.
past like when I first started and through college it was like I don't know, maybe I'd have an order every couple weeks or something like that. So it wasn't like every single weekend I would have something, whereas now that's kind of what it's become. So I
Wow.
would say the past 2 years has been consistently like if I don't have an order anything that weekend or that week, it's like extremely rare.
Wow.
So yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. I do have to turn down a lot of orders as well
Mhm.
because since I do work a full-time job, I can't really take a lot of last minute orders because I have to have, I guess we can talk about that too. Like I have to have everything
Sure.
planned out. So
Mhm.
I live with my planner glued to me. So yeah, I have to have everything planned out ahead of time to make sure that I can fit the orders within my week. So if you want something, I always tell people, I don't care if it's in 2 months, like let me know now because you probably it's a good chance that I can't do it.
I mean, congrats on that growth. That's
Yeah, thank
incredible.
you. Sometimes I don't like realize
Right,
that, but
yeah.
yeah.
Right, we don't take any time to reflect on
No.
success. It's always on to the next thing, right? Yeah,
Right, exactly.
that's awesome. And I'm assuming like you run your Instagram, right? Because there's more
Yeah.
that goes into cupcakes
Oh
than just
yeah.
the baking, right? So,
Right. Yeah, I know. It took me a while to get my website to where it is. I focused on that like this summer a lot, when I had a little bit of extra time. But yeah, it's a lot. I'm like posting early in the morning, sometimes late at night,
Mhm.
but
Yeah, I feel similarly on that, right? Like, how
Mhm.
you see when your like audience is most active or whatever. And I'm like,
Yeah,
honestly, like if I can't get the podcast out till 9 p.m., it's
I
coming out at
know.
9 p.m. Like, what can
Right?
I like?
I know. And there's a lot of the social media, like the
Mhm.
Instagram's algorithm and everything,
Yep.
and you can tell when things are doing better than others at certain times. And I've been trying to take advantage of like reels and also like TikTok, but like part of me, I just don't have enough time to like record everything that I make because I need to make it very fast.
Right, right.
So yeah, that's something I want to do more of. So,
Yeah, I feel that. It's
mhm.
difficult upkeeping a social media. And I
It
always say
is.
the podcast, I'm not relying on that for any money, right? It's really
Right.
a hobby for me. It's not like I need to sell a
Mhm.
product. And it's
Right.
hard. I can only
Yeah.
imagine if trying to promote a business you have to stay on top of it. And it's
I
so
know.
difficult. It's really hard.
It is, yeah. Luckily, I have really great clients so that if I'm not answering a DM, I usually will answer within 24 hours, but people aren't don't get mad at me for not
Yeah.
answering right away. Yeah.
No, that's good to hear. And yeah, would
Mhm.
love to dive into, the advice you have since you are working, it sounds like several jobs outside of CupKate.
Mhm.
How do you do it? How do you even have time to record this podcast,
I
you
know.
know?
I don't know. So I like to keep myself busy. I guess
Mm,
that's one way to put it. I mean, baking was my hobby and then it turned into a job. So it's still something that I like to do. So it's kind of doesn't feel like I'm working all the time, if that makes any sense. Like on the days that I don't have like a cake to make, I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do with myself? Like I don't know what to do. So yeah, I would say you need a very good planner. Um, I like to organize out my weeks, everything I have to do. I don't like to procrastinate. With baking, you can't wait until the last day because things could go very wrong. Something could not turn out right. You might have to redo it. Things need to take time to dry and stuff like that and cool down. So I couldn't wait until the night before to just make a whole cake for the next morning.
right.
So I guess that's kind of a good thing because I have to have things planned out. So yeah, I would say I usually will plan my week at the beginning of the week, what I have for work, and then figure my days out around that. I do like to still get in a workout every day. So whether that's like a
Nice.
7 a.m. Pilates class, and then I'll go home, get ready for work, go to work, come back, probably have dinner, then figure out what I'm have to bake for the night, check those things off, and then eat, sleep, repeat.
Jeez.
If
Good for
there's
you.
yeah, it's all about making time for the things that
Mhm.
you want to do. Like I make time for all of my friends. If there's things that I know I can't do, I will say no. But if I know somebody wants to do something on the weekend or Friday night, I'll make sure that I get all of my stuff done ahead of time so that I can do that because I think it's important to not completely just work all of the time. You need that balance and yeah, I'm always prioritizing and I will make time and figure out
Mhm.
how to do it.
Yeah, to your point, I agree. In the end, it does kind of work out, right? Like you said, you're gonna put
Mhm.
your time where you want to put your time, and you'll
Right.
make it work as best as you can. Of course,
Exactly.
there's days where it's extremely stressful and overwhelming,
Uh-huh.
but for the most part, if you can kind of get your system kind of under control, like your time system,
Right, exactly.
yeah. And is your full-time job, I'm just curious, is it
Mhm.
like 9 to 5 period,
Yeah.
or sometimes you need to work like, oh, it's a long night, I'm working till 7, that messes up my baking?
Um, yeah, it potentially could be a little bit later, but
Mhm.
usually try to get done whatever I have, and if not, I'll finish something later. But yeah, no, I'm not like in a like accounting with like busy season where people
Sure.
are working till like 11 o'clock at night. Yeah, no, not usually like that, but yeah.
Yeah, so that definitely helps as well. It's nice you can pretty much rely on that, section of the day, and then I can, plan out the
Exactly.
rest.
Right.
How you mentioned that baking is still a hobby, right? And you really enjoy doing that. Do you ever
Yeah.
find it difficult to enjoy it for yourself because it is now a
Mhm.
job? Like, have you
Yeah.
found that those lines are kind of getting blurry? And if so, how do you maintain it as a hobby for you too?
Yeah, no, I definitely feel like that. That's why I'm like pretty comfortable with the amount of orders that I take on now. I know that sometimes I feel bad. I cannot say no sometimes.
Right.
I feel bad if people are like, "Can you do this? Can you do this like this week?" And it's like it almost would make me way too stressed out and I
Mhm.
wouldn't enjoy it if that makes any sense. So, I think it's definitely the balance between taking enough orders that I can physically
Mm,
handle and enough whereas I'm not trying to make 6 cakes in like 2 days, whereas
right.
it just makes it doesn't make it enjoyable anymore when it's not like you can't take your time and kind of enjoy it
Mhm.
the way you should.
That makes a lot of sense. I think that's actually good advice for folks like I'm
Mhm.
imagining folks who enjoyed baking and it became a business, or painting and it
Right.
became a business. Some the hobbies like
Mhm.
that, the creative hobbies, I suppose. Since you love it so much, would probably bake a cake on the weekend anyway. So taking
Right,
on one for
exactly.
a customer, like it's
Yeah.
almost the same thing. You're not the one eating
Right.
it.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. You definitely it's all about balance, I would say.
Hmm.
And not
Yeah.
taking off too much that it will make you way stressed.
Right. Yeah, I really like that. I think that's great advice. Any
Mhm.
other advice for any small business owner, going back to perhaps some of the more business side of CupKate's,
Uh-huh.
any advice you have or
Yeah.
challenges you face that you overcame and want to share about?
So I would say you have to love what you're doing no matter whether you're going to try to make money off of it or not. I've seen a lot of people that are like, "Oh, I just want to do this business because I think I'm going to make so much money doing it." And then they start the business and they're not making as money right away and
Mhm.
they're wondering why and then they stop doing it. It has to be something that you're passionate about and willing to grow your business. I'm like, I started this 6 years ago technically and where I was in the beginning is nowhere near where I am now. So it's more about taking those baby steps in a sense and kind of just keep going. Like you can't just expect to have instant success. It doesn't really
Mhm.
work that way. Sometimes people, I guess, you see people having instant success online every day. So you think
Right.
that's like possible, but it takes hard work and it takes time to like build up your business the right way. So yeah, you can't expect to have overnight success and you have to kind of have that drive to keep going. There's many times I thought to myself I could just give up, I could just stop baking, like just go out and enjoy my life, do whatever I want. But it's like it also is something that fulfills me and makes me happy. So it has to be whatever business you're starting or whatever you're doing has to be something that makes you happy. And it's kind of nice to have something that you find enjoyment out of, and then it
Mhm.
also makes money. So,
Yeah. It's a bonus, right?
yeah, I guess to the point of working hard and success not coming overnight. There's many Friday nights, Saturday nights I'm baking. Like, I'm not out with most people my age and that type of stuff, but there's a trade-off. It's like I have a business that I want to succeed, and that's what it's going to take to do it. So you kind of have to like have those trade-offs, and the same with like investing in your business and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah. Again, going back to managing your time, right? And
Mhm.
putting in where you want to focus. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
totally agree about having to be passionate about what you do, even if that's running your own business or your quote unquote corporate job, right? You have to
Mhm. Yeah.
have somewhat of a passion
Right.
for it. I'm curious if you have any perspective or advice on trying to find that passion, right? Because I know for
Yeah.
you, baking came at a pretty young age, which is
Mhm.
really awesome, right? You're really lucky you found that. Would you
Yeah.
have any advice for folks who perhaps are just getting through their corporate job and are trying to find, that thing they really want to do, but just aren't
Yeah.
there yet?
Yeah, no, it's definitely hard. I found myself many times in college being like, I don't know what I want to do. Like for the corporate side as well, like I have no idea what it is I want to do. And it just kind of takes like experiencing that. So I can say if you can get any type of internship or you can experience different avenues of something that like interests you and kind of like learn about that. So another thing I did in college was I taught it's called Pure Barre. So it's like
Okay.
a
Yep.
bar-based workout. And that's something that I just loved taking classes as a hobby. And then it turned into a job because I wanted to pursue it further. So even
Mhm.
things like that, like taking a fitness class somewhere and you might end up liking it, and that might be something that you want to pursue on the side. One of
Right.
my good friends, she has a corporate job as well, and she just became like another fitness instructor at another place as something to do on the side as like a side hustle. And yeah, she's doing great. It's something that she enjoys. So whether it's something that you find joy in outside of work, maybe you can turn it into some sort of like hobby or job like that.
I like that advice because it's
Hmm.
perhaps, yeah, looking at pretty much everyone has some sort of hobby, something they like to do outside
Right.
their 9 to 5. So
Yeah.
just even learning more about it, or like you said,
Uh-huh.
interning, or
Yeah.
just seeing what other avenues exist on that hobby, if
Right.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, like sign up for a class,
Hmm.
volunteer somewhere. I think that the times that I've done stuff like that, it's always turned into
Right.
something more.
Yeah, you're right. That does make sense. I like that. That's good
Mhm.
advice. Interested in hearing other advice of how to make connections in the small business world, right? You started out
Mhm.
pretty young. I'm sure that space may have been a little overwhelming, like where do I fit in this? And I do know that you also have, a lot of pop-up shops and your business is very successful. It is blooming on Instagram and social media, so it's getting a lot of
Mhm.
attention. Just curious, are there
Yeah.
certain connections you made that really helped you out, or how did you accomplish that?
Yeah, I think that connecting with other business owners is definitely something that's helpful and having a mentor. I know one of my old bosses was a very good mentor for me. She started a successful fitness business. So I think that definitely using the people around you and your local stores that maybe you're around all the time. I think that also you can use social media to reach out to other business owners. I've done this many times, just reaching out to other small businesses. Hey, do you want to do a giveaway together? It's a
Mm,
great way to promote their products to your followers and yours, obviously, to theirs.
yep.
I've done a ton of giveaways with different small businesses and like businesses that I personally like. I'm like, okay, well, I want my followers to see your
Yeah.
stuff. So if it works both ways, that's great. So definitely reaching out to people, whether it's an Instagram DM. I think that even if maybe you're not super outgoing, it definitely just helps to just start a conversation with other
Mhm.
people because people have such a wealth of knowledge. I think I've learned the most through other people and them sharing their experiences. It definitely really helps. Yeah, so reaching out to people on Instagram, collaborations, like I've done some collaborations with different stores. So I've worked with Lily Pulitzer, Kendra Scott,
Oh, wow.
Anthropologie, all those different stores. And everyone always asks me, how did you find connections there? How did you find connections there?
Mhm.
It all started with just one person at one store So it's crazy how that works. And it's also, I feel like there's a lot of things I could talk about this, but yeah, it's crazy how it starts with just one person. And it starts with the way you react or also the way that you present yourself. So just being nice to one person and just sharing your experience with them can lead to six different people finding out about your business. It all started at the Lily Pulitzer store. There was a blogger who was doing an event and she asked me to make cookies for her. So I made cookies for her event at Lily Pulitzer. This is when I was in college. And from that one event, I've made connections at all of the stores that I've mentioned because
Wow.
people one person worked at Lily's, then she went to the other store, then this person worked at that store and to the other store. They were in the same shopping center and heard about it. So just doing one thing and obviously making connections and
Mhm.
networking with people can lead to a lot down the road. So definitely your first impression matters.
Definitely, and I always think too, especially for reaching out, the worst thing that happens is either they don't respond or they say no,
Yeah,
right? Like, it's
seriously.
really
Yeah.
what is the worst
What is
situation?
the
That's
worst thing
not
that can happen?
that
Yeah,
bad.
I say this
Yeah,
a lot. I'm
exactly.
like, even if like see somebody that somewhere, it's like you say hi to them. What's the worst thing that could happen? They don't say hi back
Mhm.
and then they're the mean
Right.
person.
Yeah.
So like that goes back to just life in general too. Like sending
Mhm.
that business or that person a DM, asking them a question or just even complimenting their work. I have a lot of people in the baking space. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this. Like, what did you use for that?
Yeah.
What did you use for this? And kind of make like friends through that, and learn a whole lot. So I think definitely reaching
Mm.
out to people helps.
Yeah, and even when you mentioned, even if you're not outgoing to still reach out to people, I think
Uh-huh.
that's the beauty of social media, right? You
It is,
can
right.
stay behind the screen, which is
You can.
helpful if you're not a person
For
who,
sure.
enjoys networking events. Like that's the beauty
Uh-huh.
of the small business world is a lot of it lives online, which is
It does.
incredible.
It
Yeah.
is. There's so much outreach online. And yeah, I was never a fan of like networking events in college. I
Right.
was like, oh
Yeah.
no, won't catch me there. But there's ways to network with people around that for sure. I think even better sometimes.
Oh, yeah, I agree, and that now I'm thinking, that's interesting, like, why is the quote, unquote, "corporate world" so into those classic networking events? Like, why not just do what how small
Yeah,
business owners connect, right? Like, that could work for
I
both
know.
worlds, I'm sure. That's interesting.
Absolutely. I think with a lot of things being online now, because of COVID, I do think that like the virtual events are probably doing a lot better than in-person
Yeah.
events because it's kind of like, okay, well, like you can easily, I guess, hide behind your screen and it makes networking like a lot more easier in that sense.
Yeah, no, totally agreed. And yeah, great advice to just reach out and yeah, ask to do a giveaway or collab
Mm-hmm.
with another small business owner. Like
Yeah.
chances are they'll say yes because like you said, they want to
Yeah.
promote their products too. And
Exactly.
yeah, no, I think
They could
I
be
think
afraid to reach out to you or not think you're
mhm.
interested. Yeah, definitely.
No, love it.
Same.
Awesome. So my kind of last big question here for you, Katie, is in this moment, what is
Mhm.
your proudest accomplishment? Of course, it can be CupKate's or doesn't have to be related to your business at all. Just kind of
Mhm.
that first thing that comes to mind, what your proudest accomplishment is.
I don't know. I guess it would say my proudest accomplishment is the fact that, like, I am able to have a successful business as well as work a 9 to 5 and have a corporate job. I take pride in my ability to balance both very well. So that's something I guess I'm proud of. Yeah, it's not been an easy road here. To get a little bit deeper, I like lost my dad a year ago to cancer. So I had a whole year where he was sick, and I am very proud of the fact that I didn't give up on anything that I was doing during that time. It was very like tough and testing time, and I think it was my first year out of college, so I had just settled into a job. And I was still baking. I still managed to do well in my job. I got a better job all throughout that time, and I still grew my business. So I guess that's something that I'm proud of, and I know he would be proud of. So yeah, just kind of keep going and keep
Yeah.
going for your goals and your dreams, and life's going to throw things at you, but it's more about your reaction to them is all you can really control.
Yeah, that's really well said. And congratulations on all your accomplishments so far. And yeah, I'm
Thank you.
very, very sorry to hear about your dad, but your mindset around it all, right, just clearly shows
Yeah,
you have found a passion and something that you and your family and your dad, like you said, would be proud of that you
hmm
found and are continuing to pursue. And that's
right.
just a really incredible feeling. So again,
Thank you.
congratulations on all your success so far, right? It's
Thank you.
still you still have such a long way to
Yeah,
go and many more successes ahead, which is
like, think
great.
I'm so old, but I'm not.
Yeah.
25 seems so old.
Well, you've built a business, right? That's
Yeah,
a lot of energy
thank
and
you.
time.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you so much, Katie. You had a lot of great advice in this episode, and I love just hearing a bit more about your journey. And where can the audience find you and CupKate's? What's your social media, website, all that?
So you can find me on Instagram. It's CupKate's Cake Bakery. It's a little bit long because my name was not available, but it's CupKates. If you search that, you'll be able to find it. And then my website is cupcakescakes.com. And then you can find all of my email links and everything through my Instagram or my website.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Katie. I had a great time chatting with you
Of
today, and I
course.
hope everyone checks
Thank you
out
for having
Katie.
me.
Yeah, of course. And I hope everyone checks out Katie and Cupcakes. Please look at her beautiful work on her Instagram. It's a good
Oh,
feed to have on your feed, scrolling through and everything. So
thank
definitely
you.
give her a follow.
I appreciate
Of
that. Thank
course.
you so much for having me.